Now, the second part of today's workshop is about topic formulation. Okay, so just now tadi kita sembang pasal aim, objective, and method. Okay, for topic formulation, this workshop discusses about the topic thesis topic formulation and how it is used as a framework in developing the final year project. So at the end of the day, you need to produce a thesis, okay, at the end of your study. So for mini thesis and pre-thesis students, so mini thesis is the third year, second semester, and the pre-thesis students are you guys. This will be a good guide in determining the heading and scope of the thesis. For thesis students, this will help ground and refresh the study and develop strong narrative in writing process. So if the thesis students are here, this is for you. Basically, it helps you guys understand better in the thesis part. Okay. Sorry, the understanding part is probably quite clear enough for you, but you need to write this properly because you need to convince the panel, because some of the panel might not be aware of what you're doing at the end of the semester during the FTA. So they need to be told, okay, to be informed that my thesis is about A, B, C, but not D, E, F. So please be clear, do not ask me anything about D, E, F because I don't know. I don't know anything about it, okay? So formulating a thesis title should be concise yet clear. Some of the thesis titles that you guys have shared with me before are quite elaborate. Okay, it's like one whole paragraph of title. You need to make it more concise and simplified, right? Because it is the first thing that people encounter about your work. So when they want to search your name, okay, what you want to do is they will find your name and a good thesis title, right? Something that is clear and straightforward. That would showcase, oh, this guy is all about sustainable technologies. Cool, all right? So it should be free of errors such as spelling, grammatical, as well as semantics. This is I've emphasized this many times because I'm not going to be bothered to actually edit your titles. That should be you and your supervisor or head of panel's responsibility. So please check on this one because I'm not going to do that, right? Whatever you write, that is what is going to be published. If you have any grammatical errors, okay, please live with it for the rest of your life. Okay. So we have a base convention. Okay. So kalau kita tengok the old examples here, these are from 1980s and also one in 2002. We have Mereka Bentuk Museum Sains dan Teknologi Islam di Universiti Islam Antarabangsa. Cadangan mereka bentuk hotel apartmen di Jalan Bukit Bintang, Kuala Lumpur, and so on. Okay, so we have this kind of title yang very clear and straightforward. So it's very project based. So immediately you know what the project is going to be. So this guy, Prof. Saropil, already retired, I believe. Prof. Saropil. His thesis was to design a Fakulti Pengajian Pendidikan Universiti Pertanian Malaysia, UPM. Okay, back then it was Universiti Pertanian Malaysia. Now it's Universiti Putra Malaysia. So his thesis was about designing Fakulti Pengajian Pendidikan. Teh Ching Kiat, his thesis was about apartment. And then Alfa Rizal, his thesis was museum. Very clear, you know it's going to be a project based. Okay. And then of course there are some others yang go for the issue based. Okay, seni bina bangunan interchange dari aspek kebetul bandar. So urbanism, talking about interchange building. And then Rosli no, cadangan mereka bentuk pusat membeli belah dalam konteks pembangunan semula, okay? Pembangunan semula, redevelopment pusat bandar lama Kuantan Pahang. So there are some issues, the issue of redevelopment in bandar lama Kuantan Pahang. So that was his focus. Although you can immediately detect that the building is going to be a shopping mall or a commercial building, okay? So what is the proper convention? So kita ada banyak, and you know, when we have creative students, right? There ada banyak these creative titles like Kompleks Pelajar. Doesn't make sense. It's so broad. Pengiklanan seni bina. What the heck does that mean? Ruang tak berfungsi. What the hell is that? Macam, because people would like to just write anything to be generic and vague. They ikut zaman dia. Ada certain zaman you try to put as much bombastic words in your thesis titles, and of course there are some yang kalau boleh dia tanya, sir, boleh tak if my thesis title I just use symbols. Symbol, for example, if you take your keyboard, yeah, you use only the symbols, okay, and start spelling all this the thesis title, okay. So I said no, you can't, okay. Ada juga yang tanya kalau pakai binary boleh tak? Tak boleh, 01100001. No, kau bukan computer science, kau just architect. Computer science pun tak pakai binary untuk dia punya tajuk thesis, okay. So we want to have a thesis title that is more descriptive so that people can understand what you are trying to do. Okay, so more recent example, Hidayatnya Highway Service Center, Retirement Resort, World War II Museum, School of Architecture in UTM. So that these are quite clear-cut project-based thesis titles. And then we have Kelantan Peranakan Chinese Revitalization of Kampung Pasir Parit, a catalyst for heritage sustainability, social equity, and racial harmony. Quite long, but quite descriptive at the same time. And the bottom part is altered spaces, the changing special needs of family in vertical housing. So these are current examples, more recent examples on issue-based thesis. So what do we want to do here? We want to have a proper convention. Okay, so here what we like you to do from now on is to write your subject matter early, and then the end product later. So you will be separated by these double dots. Okay, so whatever your thesis issue is going to be here, and then your end product is going to be after the double dots. Okay, so for example, zero waste building ... So the issue is about zero waste, and then the building is going to be the Sri Skudai Secondary School. So here, using this convention, it'll be quite clear what your thesis is all about. You are going to tackle the issue of zero waste, and then where are you going to apply it? What is your building? What is your building type? It's going to be a school, which is the Sri Skudai Secondary School. So this is clear, yeah. So some of the previous examples from 1999, implikasi teknologi maklumat and advanced telecommunication terhadap cara kerja masa hadapan, ... ruang kerja alternatif, alternative workspaces. Then bit store, the issue of bit, digital online store, ini zaman-zaman 2001 where millennium just happened. Evolusi dan hubungan simbiotik dengan dunia fizikal. So we were talking about online environment, and then we talked about all this digital commercial buildings and so on. Okay, but this one is the building, this one is the issue. Okay, dia terbalik sikit. And there are some more examples. For example, library mall, the ambience towards reading in shopping malls, and then responsive architecture, river purification center in Klang, and bikeability, cyclist community hub. So this one is more recent. And recent examples that were not properly set, okay, an alternative, autonomous community housing for sustainable living in the future. So this one is quite generic. Macam tengok, an alternative, apa tu? Doesn't make sense. You can just write it, alternative autonomous community housing, or autonomous alternative community housing, so on and so forth. Okay, and propose to design an integrated timber art gallery through timber engineering technology approach. So this one is I think because they translated from BM, so bila you translate balik dalam English dia macam tak berapa ngam sangat. And this one is the one that I like the most. As an example, Puchong Dim Sum Center, Dim Sum Restaurant cum Culinary School. It's like berapa kali you nak sebut dim sum, kan? Macam you nak kena macam, it's a dim sum place, you know? What is it? It's a dim sum place. So you have to say it twice. Pasal orang tak faham. Okay. Alright, so kat sini sebenarnya you can simplify lah, okay. Puchong Dim Sum Center ni could be the building, and then you don't have to specifically say Dim Sum Restaurant cum Culinary School, because this one should be in there immediately, because the center contains restaurant and culinary school. Okay. So some more examples from a few years back. So we have Elina Zulisham on positive youth development through after school programs, Islamic Youth Development Center, quite clear. a connection to life, the issue. Then Georgetown Life Experience Community Center Park. And then this one is optimized surrounding to accommodate children with dyslexia through architecture. And the building is Dyslexia Academy for gifted youngsters. Okay, hopefully this one are clear, and some other examples. I'll give you the slide later that you can check. Okay, so the idea is the two-part convention will help what you guys want to do. Okay, it forms as a quick summary should anyone were to ask about your thesis. In fact, kalau you nak sembang kawan you pun senang. Orang akan tanya, kau punya thesis buat pasal apa? And then you can just say, my issue is this, okay, and then my building is this. Very clear. Okay. Do note that some of the theses are very building project oriented. In such cases, writing the building project as the title is sufficient. And remember guys, at pre-thesis, you are exploring, you're testing out. You're not supposed to fix your title, your thesis title, at the second crit. No, you should have one, but the thesis title should evolve at the third crit, fourth crit, and fifth crit. In fact, it can still change all the way to FTA. And in fact, if you take that pre-thesis to become your thesis, during your thesis itself, it can be further developed. Okay, you can refine it, and the title will always change and always evolve. We in UTM, we believe in this evolution. Okay, we disagree that in some practices, in some schools, that students must fix the thesis title. Okay, of course, we understand the reason why they want to do that is because they don't want students to actually spend too much time exploring. They want them to focus and do and achieve what their thesis is all about. But for us, exploration, testing out is part of the design process, and the thesis title should be included in that process as well. Okay. So, however, such theses are becoming less and less popular, in which the two-part convention will become the standard convention for UTM's architecture design thesis for undergraduate and also for the postgraduate group. Yeah, and remember, thesis titles should be concise and straight to the point. Okay, just bagi je, tak payah sembang-sembang banyak-banyak, because you will have your abstract, you will have your entire thesis nak sembang dekat dalam tu. And thesis titles should convey the message or content of the thesis as informative and detailed as possible. Okay, titles should not be long and winding that it becomes a paragraph on its own. And title has to make sense in both bahasa and English. More importantly, it has to carry the same meaning. And please avoid using bombastic words just to sound smart. Okay. Ada satu trend which is Portmental, okay, which is word blending. Dia cuba menggabungkan certain conventional words to make new words yang boleh sell. For example, kat sini biology and morphology, so they create biomorphic architecture. Ooh, coolnya. Well, during my studies dulu, biomorphic architecture ni is like almost like a catchphrase, because you start doing building yang berbentuk organic. So if in order to justify this organic shape building yang you boleh gunakan pakai 3D Studio Max, and you start blending things around, you call it, sir, this is biomorphic. Dan lecturer yang tak tahu pasal biomorphic architecture macam anggut je lah. Well, as if it's a new thing. But now biomorphic architecture is already an accepted phrase, okay? And you can find a lot of books, a lot of reference on biomorphic architecture. But back then, in late 90s, early 2000, it was like so new, and nobody actually used it in the building, in projects. Okay. Same thing with permanent plus agriculture. So you're talking about permanent buildings that is integrated with agriculture. So you call it permaculture. It started off in 1970s. So during my time, permaculture we know about that phrase, but it wasn't, nobody actually used it in their building or thesis. Tapi lepas tu, starting in the mid-2000s, people start to catch on, and everybody is doing permaculture. So eventually, those words become common. Okay, but these words came from scientists, they came from designers who actually understood what that thing is about and trying to introduce a new word that merges these two things. But You guys are not, right? So there are things that I find unacceptable for mentors, okay, like parametric deconstructivism. And suddenly you come around and start telling, sir, mine is Particon. What the heck is that? It's parametric deconstructivism. You like it? No, I don't. Do not start to use or introduce these words yang doesn't mean anything, that does not exist in any languages, just to sound different, just to sound cool, especially if there is an existing term, okay, to describe what you do. So this is where literature review comes in. You need to read to figure out exactly what it is that you want to do. Okay? And of course, you will find the terms describing that. If there is an existing term, use it. Do not introduce your own words. For example, the second one, generative parametric deconstructivism algorithm. Okay, gen par deconal, as if it's going to be a thing. It's not. Okay, please do not introduce this kind of words, especially if you're under my group or under my supervision. I will check you. Okay, do not. If you are trying to introduce these new words, or if it's a word that I have not seen before, please use literature review to define it. Okay, find and show me, sir. Actually, it came from this guy. Okay, let's use that word. That's fine, but should not be something that is invented unless you really found something that is absolutely new, and you have to justify that.